this is Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, who is the resident of the United States. On June 20th, 2023, it was announced that Hunter had struck a deal with the Department of Justice to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax crimes and a gun charge. And considering all of the controversy surrounding Hunter Biden and his shady foreign business deals and his well-publicized tax problems, this was considered by many to be a sweetheart deal. And it turns out that it was. And we know this thanks to 2 IRS whistleblowers, including Gary Shapley, a criminal supervisory special agent who was managing the Hunter Biden case, and a so far anonymous whistleblower who was the one who originally initiated the investigation. For the rest of the video, we will refer to the second whistleblower as Special Agent. These 2 whistleblowers recently presented evidence to the House and Weiss Committee showing that Joe Biden's son got off light. The IRS criminal investigation team had recommended that Hunter Biden be charged for felony tax evasion charges and felony charges for filing false returns for tax years 2014 and 2018. They also recommended misdemeanor charges for failure to timely pay tax for 2015 and failure to timely file and pay tax in 2016, 17, 18, and 19. An example of Hunter Biden's alleged crimes included failure to report his foreign income from Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company where Hunter sat on the board and received $1 million a year. And then there was a scheme to evade income taxes through a partnership with Devin Archer, a convicted felon. And in an email to Hunter Biden from Eric Sherwin, Hunter's business partner, Eric writes, "In 2014, your taxes reported $847,328 in income. In 2014, you joined Burisma board, and we still need to amend your 2014 returns to reflect the unreported Burisma income. That is approximately $400,000 extra, so your income in 2014 was closer to $1,247,328. According to Gary Shapley's May 2023 testimony to the Ways and Means Committee, Hunter Biden still has not reported approximately $400,000 in income from Burisma and has not paid the tax due, an owing of around $125,000, even after being told multiple times by his partner Eric Sherwin that he had to amend his 2014 return to report that income. But according to both Shapley and the special agent, when Eric Sherwin asked Hunter Biden about the $400,000 in income, Hunter had an excuse. No, this is a loan. And according to both of the IRS whistleblowers, that $400,000 was absolutely not a loan. It was income that Hunter Biden was actively trying to hide from the tax man. During his testimony, Gary Shapley was asked, "So this was an affirmative scheme by the taxpayer to avoid paying taxes?" And Shapley replied, "This is like textbook. I learned basic training nominee stuff. And in all of the defenses, it was a loan. Got to have a promissory note, you got to have defined interest, and you got to have repayments. And none of those were included." The special agent was asked, what did they contend it was a loan for? And the special agent responded, "Well, that was our argument, that you can't loan yourself your own money. It just doesn't make any sense." Now, for the year 2015, Hunter Biden filed his taxes, but at the time of filing, he owed over $176,000, and he didn't start to pay any of it until 2017. The special agent states, in May of 2017, Hunter starts a self-imposed $10,000 a month payment plan, making 7 payments of $10,000 over the period of May of 2017 through March of 2018, and then stops. So our theory with our case, was that the amount he owed after that payment plan stopped would be the most conservative amount, so it would be $100,675. Hunter would eventually pay off the remaining $100,000 tax bill, but it's still a chargeable crime because he willfully failed to timely pay. And according to both of the whistleblowers, David Weiss, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, was completely on board with charging Hunter. The special agent stated, "So we have one last meeting with David Weiss, U.S. Attorney in Delaware, in early September, It was either end of August, early September 2022, to talk about the 2014-2015 tax year. And from that meeting, David says to us, and this is from my recollection, that he agrees with us regarding the 2014-2015 tax year. However, the U.S. Attorney was supposedly getting pushback from the higher-ups at the DOJ. In that meeting, he had alluded that DOJ tax was of the mindset that the jury's sympathy related to the death of his brother and the drug use would affect the later tax years, and that David at the time was weighing whether to go forward based on that or not because he was getting swayed one way or the other. And David said he felt strongly with the evidence and what we were presenting. And as the special agent points out, the 2014 tax evasion scheme was concocted well before Hunter Biden's substance abuse or his brother Beau Biden's death. So 2014, Hunter is entering this $1 million board agreement with Burisma. So he is very well aware. He's not apparent to be on drugs at that point. It's not until Beau dies in May of 2015 that he kind of falls off the wagon and all of these different issues start arising. So the argument that the IRS criminal investigators had was that you can't blame Hunter's actions on anything but his willful intent to evade his taxes. And despite the DOJ's concerns, the special agent recalls U.S. Attorney Weiss's attitude towards the charges. I love the 2014-2015. Essentially, I want to charge it. And at that meeting, he tells us, we ask him, when are we going to charge? And he says, well, hopefully end of September 2022. It was kind of up in the air. So all U.S. Attorney Weiss had to do was bring the case to the venue where the tax crimes in 2014 and 2015 were committed. And that would be Washington, D.C., where Hunter Biden lived during those years. But unfortunately, a Biden-appointed U.S. attorney had other plans. So the whistleblowers claim they were told that when U.S. Attorney Weiss brought the case to U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves in Washington, D.C., that Matthew Graves personally reviewed the report and did not support it. But that's okay, because a month later, Merrick Garland, Biden's Attorney General, under oath, gave assurances to Congress.
We put the investigation in the hands of a Trump appointee from the previous administration who's the United States Attorney for the District of Delaware. And because you have me as the Attorney General who is committed to the independence of the Justice Department, he is in charge of that investigation. There will not be interference of any political or improper kind.
So according to the IRS criminal investigators, there was no indication that Weiss wasn't on board with charging Hunter with the 2014-2015 tax year crimes. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Shapley states, in our July 29, 2022 prosecution team call, Assistant U.S. Attorney Leslie Wolf told us that Weiss indicated that the end of September would be his goal to charge the 2014-2015 years because they did not want to get any closer to a midterm election. Then, in September 2022, Assistant U.S. Attorney Wolf announced that they wouldn't be taking any actions until after the midterm elections, asking, why should we shoot ourselves in the foot by charging before the election? Oh, now the DOJ cares about optics. Got it. Anyway, this next part is shocking, and ultimately the reason that Gary Shapley was compelled to become a whistleblower and bring this to Congress. And the next meeting was in person on October 7th, 2022, and it took place in the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office. This meeting included only senior level managers from IRSCI, FBI, and the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office. This ended up being my red line meeting in our investigation for me. United States Attorney Weiss was present for the meeting. He surprised us by telling us on the charges, quote, "I'm not the deciding official on whether charges are filed," unquote. So even though Merrick Garland stated 6 months earlier that Weiss is in charge of that investigation, Weiss essentially said that he wasn't. Gary Shapley memorialized the meeting in an email to Mike Batdorf, the Director of Field Operations at the IRS. Special Agent in Charge Darrell Walden, who was also in that meeting, was CC'd and agreed with everything that Shapley wrote, including the following. He then shocked us with the earth-shattering news that the Biden-appointed DC U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves would not allow him to charge in his district. Which is weird because A.G. Garland would later testify in Congress under oath that U.S. Attorney Weiss should get anything he needs. Here's my favorite senator, Chuck Grassley of Iowa.
Does the Delaware U.S. Attorney lack independent charging authority over certain criminal allegations against the president's son outside of the District of Delaware?
He would have to bring, if it's in another district, he would have to bring the case in another district. But as I said, I have promised to ensure that he's able to carry out his investigation and that he be able to run it. And if he needs to bring it in another jurisdiction, he will have full authority to do that.
And yet, despite Garland's assurances and seemingly unaware to Senator Grassley, the U.S. Attorney from Delaware was unable to bring the case to D.C. But either way, Grassley is smart enough to know that Weiss could ultimately be denied and need special counsel authority.
Without special counsel authority, he could need permission of another U.S. attorney in certain circumstances to bring charges outside the District of Delaware. I'd like clarification from you with respect to these concerns.
The U.S. Attorney in Delaware has been advised that he has full authority to make those kind of referrals that you're talking about, or to bring cases in other jurisdictions if he feels it's necessary.
So for clarification, Garland is saying that Weiss has full authority to run the case and bring charges to other jurisdictions. But Weiss said that he tried to bring it to other jurisdictions and was denied. Makes sense to me, what's your problem? So it seems like either Weiss or Garland, or both, are lying. At the very least, someone's not telling the whole story. And for whatever the reason, Hunter Biden is now off the hook from having to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes. As Shapley explains, because United States Attorney Weiss had no ability to charge 2014 and 2015, DOJ allowed the statute of limitations to expire. There is no mechanism available to collect the tax owed by Hunter Biden for 2014 other than in a voluntary fashion. Gee, I wonder if Hunter Biden will voluntarily pay back the money. Yeah, right. But then again, maybe Joe Biden can convince him otherwise.
Just pay your fair share. Pay your fair share, that's all. That's it. Just your fair share.
So while Joe Biden talks a big game about going after tax cheats and making them pay their fair share, just remember that it only applies if your last name isn't Biden.
Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share.
Anyway, that's it for now. Follow me on Twitter at Don't Walk Run. Be sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you next time. If there is a next time.